All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanan, and in this video, we're going to talk about some news that came out. The WBC has stated that the winner of if Deontay Wilder gets past Helenius and fights Andy Ruiz, the winner will be the mandatory for Tyson Fury. And Teddy Atlas gives his thoughts on who the winner of that fight will be. And I think it's real interesting. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanan. And in this video, we're going to be in the heavyweight division where Deontay Wilder will be fighting Robert Helenius in about a month's time for a shot at Andy Ruiz. And that fight will be a final eliminator to be the mandatory for Tyson Fury's WBC belt, which Deontay Wilder held before. Teddy Atlas, who very famous trainer, commentator, now podcaster, gave his thoughts on the fight between Deontay Wilder and Andy Ruiz and how he thinks that will play out. But before I get to that, let me welcome you back to the channel. If you are new to the channel, please accept my invitation to hit that subscribe button, hit that bell icon so you can be notified of when we release more videos. And if you're a longtime subscriber or a new subscriber and supporter to the channel, thank you guys so much for your support. Hit that like button while you're listening to the video. So, okay. Deontay Wilder will be fighting Robert Helenius coming up on, I do believe it's October 15th in New York City, Barclays Center. Very much considering going to the fight. It'll be the first fight that Deontay Wilder is back since Deontay Wilder's return. Actually, I don't even know if you really call it a return. He just, since his last fight, WBC championship fight where he lost by knockout to Tyson Fury. He was ringside for the fight that took place this weekend between Andy Ruiz and Luis Ortiz, where Andy Ruiz won a unanimous decision, and pretty much, I think, because of the knockdowns that took place in the fight, but a clean win for Andy Ruiz. And now the WBC has announced that confirmed rather that Andy Ruiz will fight the winner of Deontay Wilder versus Robert Helenius, that winner will then become the mandatory for the WBC title, which at the time, by the time this transpires, who knows if if Tyson Fury is still going to be the champion or not, whether he's going to fight, who knows what the deal is, but that mandatory, the winner of that will be the mandatory. So Teddy Atlas in his podcast was asked about the fight, a potential fight between Deontay Wilder and Andy Ruiz. And his response to me was, it wasn't surprising, but essentially, the question was posed to him, who do you think will win that fight? And his co-host said, many people think, look, that Deontay Wilder will pretty much just wind up landing a big right hand on Andy Ruiz and knock Andy Ruiz out. And, it's all Deontay Wilder needs is one shot to knock him out. Teddy Atlas did not agree with that. Teddy Atlas said, look, first of all, Andy Ruiz can very well land a big shot on Deontay Wilder. Andy Ruiz is he is somebody that has boxing skills, where Deontay Wilder really does not. All he has is a right hand, and pretty much that's it. So it wouldn't surprise him if Andy Ruiz caught Deontay Wilder, was able to get on the inside of Wilder and either stop Deontay Wilder or win a decision over Deontay Wilder. Right now, seeing as Deontay just lost to Tyson Fury, I can understand why people would, some people would doubt him. And honestly, I'm not really even jumping past this fight with Robert Helenius, because I think Robert Helenius is a serious fight, right? Robert Helenius should get knocked out by Deontay Wilder. Deontay should be able to beat him, and not that for some of the reasons that other people say, like, that's a former sparring partner and all of that. There's plenty of examples of people sparring each other and the sparring partner winding up winning the fight. But, because Deontay did have those difficulties with Tyson Fury, it's been a couple years since he's had a win. You know, and he did take a lot of punishment in the fight with Tyson Fury. You know, I'm kind of in a wait and see mode with Deontay on that particular fight. However, when it comes to Andy Ruiz, I'm going to say that, look, I don't agree with either Teddy Atlas or his co-host. And next time I mention the name, I'll pay the man enough respect to remember his name. But he doesn't give it every time that he's in the podcast. But I don't agree with either one of them. Personally, I think Deontay Wilder can beat Andy Ruiz just on a decision and pretty much fight the same style of fight that Anthony Joshua fought with Andy Ruiz and win that fight. He just needs to throw a jab, keep throwing a jab at him, a jab, straight right hand, jab, straight right hand. Pop Andy Ruiz with jabs for 2.5 minutes out of the round. And as long as he can throw a bunch of jabs and a bunch of straight right hands at him, he's going to beat Andy Ruiz, because Andy Ruiz is going to be continually circling to Andy Ruiz's right to stay towards that jab and maybe that left hook with Deontay Wilder, to stay away from that straight right hand or a looping right hand. Any way you cut it, you know which way he's going to go. And that height that Deontay Wilder has at 6'7", the fact that he does have a jab that we've seen in other fights, especially against a guy that's that short, or that he's not. Andy Ruiz is not short, but I think Andy Ruiz is listed at 6'3". But when you saw him in the ring with Luis Ortiz, who's listed at 6'4", Luis Ortiz was half a head taller than him. So my suspicion is that Andy Ruiz is somewhere around 6'1", 6'2" tops. And you got a guy that is 6 inches taller than him, much longer, as long as he is throwing a stiff jab at Andy Ruiz, he should be he should be able to catch Andy Ruiz, keep Andy Ruiz at bay and towards the end of those shots, and can win a decision against Ruiz. Now, if Deontay Wilder runs out of gas, something like that, and he's, when his hands come down, then yeah, that could be some problems from Andy Ruiz, because especially when he's on the inside, Ruiz has fast hands and will throw very fast combinations on the inside. However, I don't foresee him being able to get on the inside that comfortably against Deontay, as long as Deontay Wilder just uses a jab to keep him out of there. And if you look at the other people that Deontay Wilder has had problems with, they're typically guys that are taller, that are longer, that may be able to reach Deontay with the jab, cause Deontay problems with a jab. And that is just something that Andy Ruiz more than likely is not going to do. So, the idea of him being able to even win a fight on the scorecards with Deontay, to me, I can't see it. I think Deontay would have to get tired in the later rounds, and Andy Ruiz would have to catch him. Other than that, Deontay Wilder, if he gets past Hellenius and fights Andy Ruiz, will be right back in the title shot for whoever has that WBC belt, whether it's Tyson Fury, who, if he still has that belt, or whether it's somebody else. I suspect by that time it's going to be somebody else. Tyson Fury keeps talking about retiring and all of that stuff. And now he's trying to fight Anthony Joshua and saying he's got to fight for Anthony Joshua. But he wants Anthony Joshua to fight him in November, when Anthony Joshua literally just fought, right? He's not going to be fighting you coming off of a loss. And then who knows what's going to happen if Tyson Fury fights Alexander Usyk. I'm one of the people that think that Alexander Usyk has a very legitimate chance to win that fight. But anyway, that's my take on the matter. You let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Deuces.